Gravity Falls got a lot of things right and was a game changer for animation storytelling in the West, and yet one of the best elements is the triangle Bill Cipher. The antithesis of planning, order, and making sense is one of the best written villains I've ever seen. Not to mention, he works so well inside the show, being perfect contrast to different characters while also meaning something different to everyone. So let's begin a deep dive into Gravity Falls is a show about change and growing up and dealing with friends and family. All of those things are never static and can be hard to control or plan around and can become very chaotic very quickly. All of this chaos is enhanced by the weirdness of the town of Gravity Falls, and for 3/4 of the show by the fact that Grunkle Stan has a big secret. Any sense of normalcy is thrown out the door as Dipper and Mabel enter Gravity Falls, and their reactions are both very different. Dipper, the more logical of the two, tries to solve the mystery of the town by quantifying the problem, researching everything in the journal, and trying to discover new weird things about the town. On the other hand, Mabel just falls into the chaos, taking everything day by day, constantly living in the moment, and is just out for fun. She loves goofing off and making friends, and she's never alone. Both of these reactions have positive and negative consequences. Dipper, thinking ahead, makes him get in his own way and lets him bite off more than he can chew for validation, while Mabel's goofy nature can make her not pay attention or put herself and others in danger. Both of these flaws are clearly displayed in the show, but it is important to mention them to contrast with Bill Cipher as a character, who's extremely smart, loves chaos, and doesn't care about others. Bill is more of an entity than a person. His sole purpose is to create chaos, and he achieves it by any means necessary. This makes him different from many other villains because they have a set goal in mind. Bill can't stop, as chaos is ever changing, and something that stays normal for too long, even if it was chaotic, then becomes normal, and then it never stops. So like his chaos, it is difficult, if not impossible, to predict what Bill Cipher will do. His allies are changing, so do his tactics, which makes him a very tricky opponent and very hard to theorize what he'll do next as an audience. Another set of twins, who Bill has a lot of history with and works great with, are the two Stans. Stanford is the older, and he's like Dipper. Stanley is like the older Mabel, but with flaws of each character heightened to an almost unhealthy amount. Stanford is isolated from everyone and also has a superiority complex, not to mention a lot of trust issues. Stanley is overly attached to people, which is good, but can have many negative consequences, although he also finds people's flaws a lot, which he exploits to get whatever he wants. Again, Bill is similar to the Stan twins, where Bill doesn't have any real friends, only people he abuses, using their weaknesses against them, thinking himself a god, wanting to reshape the world. Bill shaped these twins into who they became and separated the once inseparable kids. I really like the drug metaphor Bill is for Stanford. He feels like he needs it to get anything done, as in Bill, but he's slowly ruining his life and making him distant from everyone he loves and even causes him paranoia. Bill takes the strengths from each character and absorbs them into himself, and it makes him a very scary foe because he can pretty much do what any one of the protagonists can, only so much better. Speaking of scary, everything about this character causes fear. Alex Hirsch did a phenomenal job on the voice acting, which made the voice extremely iconic until he used the voice for King, but we'll ignore that. I also love the character design and shape language. Triangles signify danger, edginess, and just being cool, so the fact that he is the embodiment of chaos is just a 2D triangle with the top hat. Very fun choice. But the best example of Bill's chaotic nature is that there's just no limits to what he will and won't do. For example, he possesses people multiple times, and with Blend-In at the end of the show, he entered with no consent, which makes him that much more terrifying. Also, he seems to be aware of the fourth wall as he changes the show's intro, which just makes him even more terrifying. He can also create matter and destroy it. It would make him too OP if it wasn't for the fact that he is chaos, and defying the laws of physics is the most chaotic thing you can do. He can manipulate anything physically or emotionally, which makes him such a threat when facing off against very flawed people to begin with. But, before we go any further, I want to ask something of you. Subscribing doesn't help you out that much, but it can get me close to monetization, which just means I can make better videos. So, if you can, please take the time to hit the subscribe button, and thanks to everyone who already has. But, even with all of Bill's abilities, he isn't perfect, and he does have a few flaws. The biggest: he is arrogant. He assumes superiority over everyone and can underestimate people because of that. Underestimating people leads into another of his flaws, which is narrow-mindedness, which is ironic as he is chaos. He is so good at seeing people's flaws and causing them to fight, he forgets that people can grow or they can work together. Since he can't experience any meaningful relationships that don't just crash and burn because chaos, he can't understand the power they can have, instead only thinking how people can divide themselves. He doesn't realize that relationships can cause a person to forget about the self and give themselves up to something greater, because that requires commitment and love and constant emotions, which is chaotic while remaining solid. And these aspects made for such an amazing finale, which we see in Weirdmageddon. We saw this back and forth of people banding together and then fighting each other once again. They have opportunities to win, but their bickering causes them to lose. But when they win, it's because one person inspires those around them. Bill gets Mabel to give in to her selfish desires, but Dipper inspires Gideon to become a good guy and give the key to Mabelland. The Pines twins escape Mabelland by recalling how each other has helped the other one in the past, and both by giving up their selfish desires to help the other and become better people in the process. While fighting between the two stands causes the ambush to fail, Stanley's love for the kids causes him to make the ultimate sacrifice. On the surface, Bill Cipher is an all-powerful being. He has the ability to bend reality and the strengths of all our protagonists in one person, making him just about invincible and extremely dangerous. But in the end, all that power led to his downfall, as it made him arrogant and caused the protagonist to have the one thing Bill can never: family and the power that love can bring. If you enjoyed this video, you probably like good animation. That's great, because I cover videos on animation all the time. Recently, I've been diving a lot into the world of Invincible. I have a few videos on the show you can check out, and I recommend you start with my Mark Grayson video. You can check it out right here. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you want more Gravity Falls content, because I really enjoyed making this. I have been Fictional Fanatics. I will see you in the next video. But until then, bye!